People in Tennessee who are more susceptible to COVID-19 are still eligible to vote by mail for the election. The deadline to request an absentee by mail ballot is coming soon. Dallas Payton has more on what you need to know if you plan to vote absentee by mail.
The request form can be emailed, faxed, mailed, or dropped off in person, but it has to be done by November 1st. The ballot can only be mailed and must be in the hands of an election official by November 8th. In Tennessee, by law, you have to meet certain qualifications to vote by mail. In 2020, during the height of the pandemic, the qualifications expanded
to include people who had conditions that put them at a higher risk of COVID, or people who are caretakers of people with conditions that put them at a higher risk for COVID. And they have continued that through at least the 2022 election cycle.
Becky Baumgartner is an absentee specialist for the Hamilton County Election Commission. She says first-time voters in Tennessee are still required to make a personal appearance before being able to vote by mail.
This can be to register in person, it can be to register at an agency such as the DMV, or it can be to vote once in person. But once that voter makes that personal appearance, then they're qualified to vote by mail.
There are several ways the Election Commission goes about weeding out frauds for by-mail voters.
One of the things that we do is every ballot that we send out, we have to have a written request form with a signature for that ballot. And we compare signatures versus what's on that request form to what is on that person's voter registration and then in their file.
But Baumgartner says there is not necessarily a standard that voters who are at higher risk of COVID have to meet.
But they are signing a legal document stating that they do have a condition that makes them more susceptible to COVID, or that they're a caretaker for a person with a condition that makes them more susceptible to COVID.
She says since the new qualifications were introduced in 2020, there has been an increase in absentee by mail voters.
I think it's allowed people who beforehand may have thought they didn't qualify to vote by mail, makes them feel more comfortable that they are qualified to vote by mail.
The deadline is November 1st, so request a form now if you are wanting one. Ways to get a request form for absentee by mail can be found under this story on our Local 3 News app. For Local 3 News, I'm Dallas Payton.